right. So what did you want to talk about? What questions did you have for me?
Uh, I want to get into job future. Job opportunities. How it's looking for me in the future as far as working.
Okay. So where do
Uh,
you feel? Go ahead.
well, basically, if I would like the job that I'm gonna currently going for, and if that's something that cause it's I can possibly retire at that job in say 15 years, but is that
Hmm.
something I would want to do?
So you don't know if you want to do it
I
emotionally.
can I want to do it. I want to try it, but will I be there in 15 years? The time to retire.
As far as that, I think that if you feel like it's something that you want to go after, there's nothing wrong with trying it, but I think the most important thing when it comes to a job, is to be loyal to yourself overall. Let's say, for instance, you get into this environment and you feel like, hey, this doesn't feel right emotionally and mentally to me,
Right.
and not based off, fear of not doing a good job or anything like that, but based off the environment itself, the people in the environment, whatever the case may be. It feels like it's burdening you in a way that is um not healthy in some sense. To be honest with yourself about whether or not it's something that feels right to be there for that amount of time. You know, but I mean, all
Yeah.
you can do, the only way to really figure something like that out is to be in that environment and really give yourself a chance to experience it, and as much of the fullness as you can, and make a decision based off that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the military, and, my thought process about going to the military, I didn't know if I would do 20 years or not, but my mindset about going into the military was that I'm going to give it an opportunity and see if it feels like something that I want to do for 20 years. And it never felt that way. So I made the decision to step away. And as soon as I made that decision, the important thing about it is that I also started to plan to get out, make plans for myself on what I wanted to do. And I did that, years before I left. So I think the understanding is, if you get into this environment and you feel like, hey, this is not for me, or this isn't what I want to do permanently in some sense, let me begin to build and figure out what my next move is going to be, since I know that this isn't where I want to spend 15 years or whatever the case may be. And, that way, that gives you a launching pad, or a way to launch from in some sense.
Okay. How was it? Were you scared when you got out of the military? When you transitioned from the military into a civilian life, was it scary? Not having that not having that safety net and having to go out on your own basically because of all that time you spent, you know,
Hmm.
all the camaraderie and having people not necessarily take care of you, but just having people kind of walking through stuff.
mm, I will say, for me, my experience, it was a big change. I wasn't really scared so much, but I spent I made a decision that I wasn't going to stay in the military. And I spent maybe like 2 years after making that decision, because I still had like plenty of time left in, and I began to plan what I wanted to do and how I wanted to move after that. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't have any anxiety about leaving or making that change. There was a lot I had to figure out. There was a lot of decisions that, being in the military, I did not have to really make. And so it was really about me stepping into making certain decisions for myself, making sure that I could take care of myself and my energy, my physical environment the way that I needed to, being outside the military, not having this other energy that's basically like a parent telling you, hey, you need to get this done, you need to get this done, you need to get this done. So I can say that there was anxiety about it, but not as much as there could have been. But that's mostly because I planned ahead of time, which I think that for anybody, when it comes to being anywhere, but especially in the military. I think that sometimes people may stay in the military a lot longer because they may not take the time to make a plan to on what they want to do or where they want to go afterwards, and that may it would be easier just to re-enlist and stay and have a this have a consistent paycheck coming in versus changing that. Hey, you guys. I hope you're enjoying this one on one session. If you would like to receive a session of your own or have a question you would like to ask, please check out the links in this video's description to sign up for a free one on one or submit your question.
So I I'm not we are I'm not a relationship type of person, but I
Mm-hmm.
also don't want to be alone.
Mm.
Like, well, I'm fine with being alone right now, but going into the future, I don't see myself. I can't see myself changing to where I'm not like for myself and being able to open up to having somebody in my space all the time, having somebody to take care of and stuff like that. And then I feel like I already had my time as far as raising a child,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't see myself doing that. But I'm still young, so maybe it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, eh, I feel like, but I also, that's the crazy thing. I feel like it's better if you start early, so that when you're older, you have that time to be free for yourself or your significant other. Y'all can both be free.
I
So
understand what you're saying.
yeah, I'm one of those people. So I should I find somebody to you know cohabitate with for the time being. I know
Mm.
I'm not ready to give my all to somebody else right now because I am really selfish.
Mm.
So that's a big part, and I don't see myself changing as far as you know going into the future either.
Well, I mean, if you don't feel you're in a place to uh, equally or balancedly give to anybody, do you think that that's a relationship that would be equal? Or do you think that's a relationship that would be fair?
If
You know?
they, uh, it depends. So if I'm in a relationship where they fine with me having my alone time when I need
Hmm.
to, because I do like to be alone a lot. If if they're fine with me, going places by myself, if they try to do everything together and stuff like that, then it's not gonna work because
Yeah.
I have to be alone a lot of the time.
You need your
That's
space
just
to
me. Yeah,
recharge. And yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I mean,
but
I
I
think
do.
it's.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, but I do understand that. I do understand that you have to spend time together in order to make a relationship work. But I'm gonna say part. I don't know if it's possible to find somebody. I'm gonna say 75% of the time I want to be by myself, and then the rest of the 25%. Then we can do other stuff together. Stuff.
So, have you ever thought about the fact that that you are now may not be the you that you are when it's a really time for you to be in a relationship? Like you said, you're young, and it could just also be the understanding that right now it's a time for you to figure you out and have space to you and be ready to be more open to that. But at the same time, it could be that there is a partner for you that is, also good with doing their own thing, and then you guys just have that time together. But it really just sounds like at this time you really are trying to figure out your life, and there's a lot of changes that you're going through at this time. Like you said, you're about to step into a new work environment. You're shifting out of the military. There's so much that's going on for you. And do you feel grounded in your life at this time? Do you feel confident at the stage of your life that you're at in this moment?
Yeah, I do.
So
I
you feel like you have everything where you want it to be in this moment.
Not exactly. Yes and no. So
Okay.
yes, in the fact that I know for sure that
Mhm.
if plan A doesn't work out, then I just go to plan B. So
Mhm.
I have no problem with going to the next move if something doesn't work out. And also, yeah, stuff could be better, but I'm fine with everything not working out how it is.
So you have basically a schematic for your life at this time, and you're working to follow that. You're working to
Yeah.
follow that map that you have drawn out for yourself. But like you said, you're not sure if it's going to work out the way that you want it to. You're hoping that it will. You have another plan, and in a sense of like a, if this doesn't work out, then I'm gonna go to the next plan. But when I
Yeah.
say, are you where you want to be in your life? I mean, do you have a sense of being grounded? Hey, I know where I want to live. I know where I have myself set from a financial standpoint. I know that this is the energy of me feeling that I have a foundation. You have a foundation that is everything that you want it to be at this time. I don't just mean you having a plan, but you having kind of like a reached a step into some of the goals that you have for yourself.
Okay. No, no, I'm not there then. I'm not
Okay.
there.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't date or whether you should, but I think that it's something that you should take into account that when you're trying to figure all of that stuff out, it can bring a lot more pressure on you to also add somebody else to your life and your environment. You know, when you're trying to figure all of that stuff out, you may have anxieties, you may have frustrations, you're getting used to the burden or like the weight you're going to carry in a new job environment. You still have a lot that you're figuring out for yourself. And adding somebody else to the picture of that, you know, their personality becomes a factor, their needs, their wants, their desires, their moods, their emotions, all of those
Yeah.
things become a factor in a relationship with them while you're still trying to figure your own energy out. So I, again, I think it's an understanding of making sure that you're ready to deal with all of those things, because it's not like they're just going to be an empty shell. You know, they're going to have things that they require of you, desire of you. And even in a sense of, if you can get that relationship that, you know, if you stay in this energy that you feel you're in, you feel you're in now, where you want a relationship that is where you can spend 75% of the time to yourself and only 25% of the time that with that person, then that still is going to require something. You know, that still could come with a lot. That could be, you know, extra for you if you feel like there's so much that you're still trying to figure out for yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting yourself and certain things about your life and environment figured out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does.
Hmm. But I don't think it's not
That's
necessarily about being alone forever. You know, you deserve time for you and space for you. And I know you're just getting out of the military, right? So you've come from an environment that was not about giving you time.
yeah. That could be as well. Yeah.
Did you have any other questions for me?
Yeah. Um. Education. I know it's important, and uh, I was just talking to a friend about when do you feel like you'll be ready to just. I've never been a big education person or a big like school person. I'm fine with
Mm-hmm.
learning. Just I learn differently, and schools don't. I feel like they don't teach me the
Hmm.
way that the way that I learn. So maybe I'm not mature enough to go sit in the class for
Mm-hmm.
hours on end and try to retain some knowledge. Even if I do care about the knowledge, it's just that it's not taught the way that I learn. So
Yeah. Uh, I mean, everybody learns differently. And, you know, I think that the world that we live in now is really just about finding the type of study that works for you. You know, and that's not to say that you know, to some extent there not could not be courses that you're needing to take from a school standpoint, but if I think it depends on what you want to do. You know, I have 2 degrees, And, to some extent, I do use those degrees, but I use them for myself. I use them to do a lot of the computer stuff that I need to do for me, versus working for somebody else, and if that's the case, everything that I use my degrees for, I could have gone to a website that offers certain online courses and teaches it in a specific way and had those things taught to me. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like organized education from a university standpoint, but there could be other ways of finding teachers for yourself that fit what you need. I think it really just depends on what you're wanting to do and how you're wanting to take your life, and there's also apprenticeships and hands-on job training that you can get to if you feel like a set organized university understanding doesn't fit what you're wanting.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So I should
So yeah.
just go look. I should be on the lookout. So, bro, the jobs that I look forward to having in the future, they would require me to have a degree, and
Hmm.
I don't want to go to school, and I I I could go and do it, but I know I would be dragging my feet, and I would be, how you say it, I would procrastinate a lot, and I don't want to go waste my time and money on stuff like that. So if I'm trying to look for a way around it, I know my military experience can only take me so
Yeah.
far, and then I really do need more work experience as well.
Mhm. Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said for on the job training. Like it really, like you said, you feel that the schooling that you or the job that you're working or planning to do requires you to go to school, right? Or
Yeah,
it will require you to get a certification or something to that effect. You need to get a degree in order for them
right,
to you to get better pay and everything else. Well, if that's the case, then there's only two things that could be the answer. You either are going to have to figure out how to make yourself ready in this sense to take that action, or there's something else that you're meant to do that doesn't feel like a chore. It's one of those two things. And I can't say which one that is for you. It could be your soul is saying there's something else that we want you to do beyond this. And you don't feel any inclination to go to school in that sense because what you're wanting to do or what you're meant to do is beyond this understanding, or it's the understanding of like you got to buckle down and figure out how to make yourself in that understanding do certain things. I've gone through the school experience and it was not easy. I took on, like, I was probably taking too many classes at once, to be honest, but like it definitely is something that can be a lot, so, and it's not for everybody. But if you feel like it's not for you, then that may mean that the understanding that you would like to have in this current job environment, it could not be what you're meant to do as an end understanding. It may be that you're meant to move towards something else, if that makes sense. So
right,
it's really, it's about, I think it's important to sit to yourself and ask yourself, can I do it? Do I feel like I can, put myself through what is necessary to get to this second level or this next level in this job environment? Because this is the requirement. Because as far as if that job is requiring some type of schooling for it, there's more than likely not going to be an easy way around it. You can
yeah,
find ways around stuff, but if that's what is required for it, then I think it's really the understanding of you taking some time and asking yourself, can I find it in myself to do what's necessary to consistently show up how I need to in a school or work environment, even if I don't want to. If I don't want to, but I feel like this is what I would like to do long term, then I got to figure out how a way to do that. And if I can't, if your soul really, really just can't do it, then it's the understanding of I need to figure out what it actually is that I want to do, because it's not always just about money. Yes, money is important and it has its role to play, but at the same time, your soul also would like to be fulfilled, and it could be the understanding of your soul feeling or thinking that this job environment is not meant to be long term for you. And there's another understanding, because if it was, it could be the understanding that you would be more open or able, you would feel the energy to be able to move toward it the way that you want. But I think it's about really taking some time to yourself and asking yourself those questions. Can I do this? Can I find it within myself, you know, to get this done? Can
Yeah,
I motivate
I
myself?
think you're right. Money has been the main motivator for my career pursuit. That's definitely true, and I haven't really thought about my strong points and what I'm good at. I haven't really thought about what I actually like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interest in the field that I want to go into, but it's like it's not all the way there. I know I'm really good at a lot of different stuff, and I haven't
Yeah.
tried to narrow it down to a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I always felt like I was the jack of all trades. I feel like I could really go into any field and do good into it, but will I like it
Yeah.
is a completely different question as well. So I do
Yeah.
need to buckle down and try to see if I can find something that I actually like and pertains, to my strong points.
Sounds like there's a lot of self discovery that's going on there. I mean, I feel very I've existed in a similar energy. There's a lot of things that, I find myself to be good, that jack of all trades energy. So I understand that. And it can be hard to just pick one thing or whatever the case may be, but it also may not be about just picking one thing. You have a life, you have a lifetime. So it can be the understanding of what do I want to focus or really broaden my ability in at this time in this aspect, and then maybe you can pick up something else, or as you get to really, really, you grow a lot in one facet of your energy, you can make room for the next thing, but it's
Yeah,
important to understand that it's not necessarily about giving any of those understandings up. It may just be not right now. Which one is the most prevalent? Which one calls to you the most? And I think it's important to just give yourself space, sit with yourself, and do this practice of asking your soul, asking yourself what it wants. It'll give you an answer. And maybe it might not be immediate. You might have to sit with it a few times, but it could be immediate. Maybe it could just be waiting for you to ask it. A lot of times our soul waits for us to speak to it, to give us the answers that we want. And it gets excited and gives us a plan, but it wants you to be ready to ask it, to speak to it, to connect with it. So it could be that.
right, right. Also, last question, or could be,
Okay.
I've been feeling a lot of regret on. I really think about my past more than my future, if that makes sense, because I
Mm-hmm.
and I use it as a motivator, but I think it also brings me back a little bit because I'm really regretful about decisions I made, but
Mm-hmm.
also I feel like, of course they help you. Your decisions you make, they do make you decisions you don't make you, and decisions you do make you. I understand that, but I use my regret as a motivation. But I also feel like when I'm not regretting something I didn't do, then I have no motivation. So I feel like it's a double edged sword, if that makes sense.
So you feel like you use your regret as motivation to move forward?
Yes, but if I'm just calm and I don't, I have nothing to think about, I'll just waste away. Really, honestly, that's
Mm.
just a thing I do.
Well, I mean, it could be about working to find a new source of motivation for yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't, I'm not saying, like regret, there's something wrong with having used that as a motivation for yourself, but do you always, for the rest of your life, want a thought or understanding like that to be what motivates you in some sense to move forward? You've seen Avatar, right? Avatar: The Last Airbender?
yeah, that last happened. Yeah,
And when Zuko, he basically changes to be on Team Avatar, he loses his ability, or he loses his ability to bend, or he has trouble or struggle bending with fire. And he says, I bet it's because I changed sides, or he's not using anger to fuel him anymore. So he doesn't know how to really bend anymore without using anger as that fuel. And
Right.
he has to go to find the source, or go to find a different source to bend again. So maybe it's about finding a new motivation, a new way to motivate yourself, or a new source,
Right.
asking yourself, I know it may seem like nothing will come, or I know it may seem odd, but ask yourself, what is the motivation? When I say ask yourself, I'm really asking you to speak to your soul. Your soul wants to connect with you. Your soul, yes, your soul is a part of you, but in some sense, it's also its own thing. You have an ego understanding, you have a soul self, and your soul waits for you to, give it attention and ask questions, and it wants to give you answers, but it doesn't want to be, I want to say it doesn't want to be unnecessarily intrusive, but it will if you go for too long without you connecting with it, communicating to it, or listening to it. If it feels like you've gone too far down the wrong track, your soul will throw tantrums. So if we can stop it from doing that, and we can, uh, help assist you in your journey before your soul starts to throw tantrums, then let's do so. So at this time, talk to yourself, talk to your soul understanding, this energy, this spark, that lives within you, that is, helping you to exist in this world. Talk to it and ask it, how can I move forward or motivate myself, and it not be about based off regret. What's another source that I can pull from? What's another understanding? And it also could be connected to you figuring out what you want to do for yourself, like what roadmap when it comes to a profession or whatever the case may be really appeals to you. That understanding, recognizing what that is, can assist you in finding that motivation. And that way it's not based off something that is, I don't want to say negative, but it's not necessarily a good emotional energy to pour into yourself, that you're using regret as a fuel.
Right. I understand that because it's at first it did work for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a prolonged. I when I say I use it to it's a motivation I use to work out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to muster it up as much now because I did get in shape how I wanted to at
Mm-hmm.
some point, and once I got in shape to that point, I felt like it all left. And then when I try to use it now, it's short term. It's not as
Mm-hmm.
long term as it was before. So that's the thing I noticed lately.
Yeah. Your soul is already not allowing it. It's saying, no, this is not the way that we want you to motivate yourself. We want you to figure out another way to motivate. We want you to step into another more, and it could be saying that there's a more emotionally fulfilling, abundant way to motivate yourself. Something that isn't um, so critical of you. It's not like a self criticism, so self critical, like that, because that
Yeah.
understanding, it doesn't really give you a chance to rest either. It's always an understanding that you did something that was not good enough or not right enough. So let's move into an energy of understanding that you are enough. You are enough, and let this feeling enough energy in some sense be a motivation for you to move forward. And you wanting to having a goal for yourself, whatever the case may be, let that understanding be a motivation for you outside of some sense of regret.
Right. Right.
I hope that makes sense.
That does make sense. That's really all the questions I have.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions at this time, if there's anything in the future, we'll be here. Just let me know.